What's up, Diggletdreamers? Got Mathras here, aka Diggletdreams, aka the fifth person, and today we got the Boston Buizels APL Season 2 Draft Overview. APL stands for American Premier League. This is soccer. No, it stands for Alpha Pokemon League, and this is a league that I joined pretty recently. We finished the draft like a week and a half ago. It was a really long draft. But it's done, and the first week of battles are starting, so I really need to get this done. Team Builder for week 1 will actually be coming out pretty soon after this, so look forward to that. But why don't we just hop right into my first pick, which was Tapu Fini. Kind of excited to pick this thing because it has a lot of usefulness in that it can taunt and defog and has really good defenses. So I wanted to pick this right off the bat. It gives me fairy typing, gives me water typing, and of course in the Delta Battle League we were unable to pick the Tapus. We decided not to include them just out of like fear. I don't know. Was it fear? It was uncertainty, I think was a better word for it, because we weren't sure if these things were going to stay in OU or not. We weren't sure how good they were. We weren't sure how they worked in the meta. So it's kind of exciting now that we've had time for them to settle into OU, that now we can actually use them, and we know they're not overpowered, but they are very useful. So pretty excited to get Tapu Fini. While we look at this, we got notable moves. I tried to pick moves that weren't obvious, so obviously Scald, Hydro Pump, Moonblast aren't on there. But it does get Calm Mind, which can be a very good set. Just run maybe physically defensive, or maybe just run HP and special attack with Calm Mind. But you're going to want that defense, so having Calm Mind, it makes this thing a very, very threatening, very offensive and defensive threat, honestly. Taunt, of course, great move to have. Not going to be the fastest Pokemon out there, but 85 speed, honestly, not that bad for a Pokemon with these defenses. But basically going to be able to stop any other slow, defensive, or setup-y type Pokemon. Defog, of course, great to have. Gets rid of spikes and stealth rocks, sticky web, all that stuff. Really going to be important, I think, having the hazard control. Another reason why I picked this thing first, just so I could get that out of the way. Nature's Madness, also a really cool move. If I feel like Moonblast or Water type, Fairy or Water type stab isn't going to be doing a lot, I can give it Nature's Madness and just clean take away half of something's health. Haze, also a great move to have, just to eliminate stat changes. Great move to have. 115 defense, 130 special defense, base defenses. Fantastic. Misty Surge, of course, the ability gives it sets up Misty Terrain upon switching, which prevents all kinds of status effects like toxic, and I don't think it doesn't get rid of them if they're already there, but it doesn't let you, like if someone were to use toxic on me while Misty Terrain was up, it wouldn't work. Which is a big reason why people don't run Scald on this thing, which is why I probably won't as well. Probably better to run something like Surf or Hydro Pump. So that's pretty fun. I'm gonna enjoy using this thing. So my next pick, for my second pick, I tried to go with Volcarona. Pretty excited. Just like, this has always been a really cool Pokemon to me. Fire Bug typing is really cool. And this thing has been particularly threatening in this generation for some reason. +1 Quiver Dance up in this thing is really threatening, with especially with Z moves. So that is why I made this my Z captain. Each draft, each team had to pick one Pokemon that can use Z moves, so I decided to let this one be my Z captain. So previous to Z moves being introduced, Volcarona didn't really have any good coverage moves. Like, it had Giga Drain, it had Psychic, but its best move was like HP Ground for HP Ground for like Heat Rant. So being able to use like a Psychic EMZ or a Grass EMZ to boost those coverage moves is going to be really nice for it, and obviously has been really nice for it in the meta so far. When we look at stats and stuff, 135 base special attack. That is so strong. So I could potentially run something like Scarf or Specs if I felt so inclined, and I think honestly Specs would be destructive. Like, for example, if my opponent's team is really slow and I don't need +1 speed to my already base 100 speed, then I might just be able to destroy this guy. And also, just notice that, like, because special defense is 105 and speed is 100, but you can see that speed is a little higher than special defense. I think that's because the image I took this from, there were EVs invested, which is why this looks a little different than the other ones. But he does actually have a higher special defense than speed by 5 points. Base 85 HP, solid. Notable moves: Quiver Dance, Flame Charge. I know Flame Charge, like, why run Flame Charge when you can run Quiver Dance? But if I ever felt like I didn't need Quiver Dance, I just needed the speed, and I maybe could pick something off from a low HP, get my speed boost, and then just sweep from there. Gets Wild Charge, Hurricane, Diggletdreams. I was just looking at coverage moves at this point. Like, if I needed like an electric coverage, like if my opponent had like a scary water type that I needed, maybe I could run Electrium Z with Wild Charge or something. I don't know. This thing is a little bit boxed in with its sets. Like, it's probably going to run offensive Quiver Dance 90% of the time. So I was just looking for anything that might be weird. Like, I could run Fly EMZ with Hurricane. I think that could be interesting if I ever needed the flying coverage for something. Obviously, a Z Hurricane would be really strong. But Flame Body and Swarm are its abilities. Flame Body can be really useful, potentially get that burn on something. But also Swarm could be really nice. Maybe I run a Focus Sash Quiver Dance, and I get that Swarm boost, so I basically get like +2 bug type moves. I don't know. We'll see. Probably gonna run Flame Body more often than not. Yeah, that's Volcarona. Pretty excited to use this thing. My third pick, I decided to go with the Decidueye. I already had water and fire, so I figured I'd finish up that fire, water, grass core with a nice grass type, and Decidueye maybe kind of picked this one because I really like it and because it's my favorite starter from the new generations. And honestly, it's just really cool. I just really like this Pokemon, and it actually kind of worked for the team so far, giving me that grass type stab. And yeah, I don't know. I just really wanted it, and it's really cool. So let's move into the stats and stuff. Does get things like Swords Dance and Nasty Plot if I decided to run a setup set. 107 attack, 100 special attack, so decent all-around offensive stats. 100 special defense, 75 defense, 78 HP, so not that bad. Defensive stats. Speed at 70, not the best, as you can remember from everything in Sun and Moon, but not the worst either. Like, it can outspeed a good amount of things, because not everything is going to be over 70 speed. But it also gets Defog, so that's going to be really helpful, especially since I have Volcarona on my team. Sucker Punch for that priority is going to be really nice. It also gets Haze if I need it. U-Turn for initiative, so if I want to run like a Banded set, or maybe even a Scarf set or something, U-Turn is going to be nice. Spirit Shackle, I mean, obviously it gets Spirit Shackle, but I do want to make it a notable move because it does have the ability to trap things in. So if I ever need to trap something, if I ever can try to like catch something off guard, a Spirit Shackle could come in handy. It does get Overgrow. Unfortunately, Long Reach is not available yet, so all it gets is Overgrow. But really excited about this Pokemon. Obviously, Baton Pass is banned, so can't Baton Pass that Swords Dance or Nasty Plot around yet. But I think Decidueye could use it on its own, so I'm excited about that. Thinking about running maybe like a substitute Swords Dance Sucker Punch set, and I think it could work. Very nicely. So yeah, that's Decidueye. My fourth pick I decided to go with Gligar. I really wanted something to complement the especially defensive Tapu Fini, even though Tapu Fini really could be either way defensively. But Gligar is a really nice defensive Pokemon. Can also gives me that ground immunity, and ground immunity. Well, yeah, it gives me a ground immunity and electric immunity, as well as toxic immunity. But let's get into the abilities for that. So, abilities: immunity, obviously immune to poison, so can't get toxics, which is really nice for a defensive Pokemon. Hypercutter, Sandveil, I mean, they're not really that useful, so probably not going to use too much of them. Notable moves: it gets knockoff, which is something that I haven't had yet, which is kind of something you need in this generation, honestly. Defog, another Defogger, so out of the 4 Pokemon I drafted so far, 3 of them can Defog, which is going to be really nice for my Volcarona. Stealth Rock, obviously able to set up the hazards, which is something I haven't had yet, which is going to be nice. Once again, another Taunter, which is going to be nice. Not the fastest thing in the world, but you're going to be able to taunt those other slow Pokemon. Also gets U-turn, so a nice slow U-turn can be really nice. Able to bring in one of my offensive threats or something like that on a slow U-turn. Obviously, this thing's going to run Eviolite most of the time, so boosting that defense and special defense. But already base 105 defense, so that's going to be pretty nice. It does also get Swords Dance. I don't know why I didn't put that in the notable moves, but could run this thing with like the Swords Dance, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Defog, Roost, but I'm gonna need Roost or something. So could run a nice offensive set. I probably could run Stealth Rock, Swords Dance, Earthquake, Roost, or something like that, because I'm not always gonna need Defog on this, since I have a couple other Defoggers on my team. Gligar. Yeah, it's going to be nice having that defensive core between Tapu Fini and Gligar. Gligar obviously takes the electric type moves. Grass type moves are obviously a threat, but that's why I have Volcarona and Decidueye, who both take grass type moves very well. Yeah, let's see. Ice type moves, obviously, big threat to Gligar, but Tapu Fini takes those pretty well. What else? Water type moves hurt Gligar, but Tapu Fini takes them well, so I think they're going to work well together. Just have to keep an eye out for those grass type moves. Gligar's honestly not that scared of the grass type moves because they're only neutral, but don't want to catch me on a Roost or something like that. Alright, so for my 5th pick, I decided to go with Gengar. It wasn't picked yet, and this is obviously one of the strongest Pokemon, has always been one of the strongest Pokemon around. Even though it lost the ability Levitate, I think it is still a really strong Pokemon. Because how many times were you really dodging Earthquakes with Gengar? I mean, yeah. But let's get into the stats just so I can talk about them. 130 special attack, 110 speed. Like, what else do you need, honestly? That is going to be so nice to have. Super fast Pokemon on its own, even if I don't run Scarf, which I probably won't need to. I could probably run a Spec set. Shadow Ball is really tough to switch into in this meta. Life Orb with a Shadow Ball and Sludge Wave, gonna be hitting things really hard. Gets really good to coverage moves like Focus Blast, Dazzling Gleam, Thunderbolt, Icy Wind. People sometimes forget about that. Like, oh, it doesn't get Ice Beam, then what's the point? Like, no, that Icy Wind is good. It obviously hits those 4 times weak Pokemon. Of course, Cursed Body is its ability now, so while not the most reliable thing like Levitate, it is going to be nice to get that every once in a while. Like, maybe I'm thinking like a Scizor Bullet Punches me, I live 1, and Bullet Punch gets cursed, so he can't hit me again, and I'm able to hit him with like a HP Fire or something. Other than offensive moves, it does get things like Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, which is my first fast Taunter, which could be nice. Disable, which is basically like Cursed Body in the form of a move. Clear Smog, of course, to get rid of those hazards, get rid of those stat changes. Destiny Bond, obviously a quick last-ditch effort to eliminate something. Trick, if I want to run a Specs or Scarf set, I can run Trick and cripple a defensive Pokemon by tricking it one of the choice items. Pain Split, One of the only moves it gets for recovery, which could potentially be nice. Sub disable, I think, is a pretty common set on this. Not the most common set, but it's a set that has been run. So if I wanted to try something like that, like sub Will-O-Wisp, disable Shadow Ball, could catch someone off guard. But this is going to be a nice offensive Pokemon to have on my team, and I'm pretty excited that I was able to get it. So let's move on to my 6th pick, which was Lycanroc. Of course, not the best Pokemon out there, but I really like Lycanroc, and I really wanted it on my team. I'm just such a big fan. Caught this thing really early on in my Sun and Moon playthrough and never let him go, so really excited to have him on the team. But honestly, even without the bias that I have on my own, actually has really good offensive stats, 115 base attack and 112 speed, outspeeding Gengar already, so pretty solid. Keen Eye, Sand Rush, and Steadfast, obviously not the most useful on your team if you don't have Sand support, but this is saying it might get Sandstorm, so I could run like a Sandstorm set and just outspeed everything, you know. Swampert sometimes runs Rain Dance, Kingdra runs Rain Dance, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But the nice thing though is it already has base 112 speed, which is already really fast, so it's really not that bad at all. Of course, Accelerock, the only Pokemon in the game that gets it. Priority Rock type move, really nice to have, be able to pick off some stuff. Maybe if I get a Swords Dance up, could do a lot of damage. Stealth Rock, of course, there is that Stealth Rock Focus Sash lead set. Does get Sucker Punch. I don't know if people have noticed this or not, but I think just because it gets a Stellar Rock, like why run Sucker Punch? It does also get Taunt, so that's another fast taunter. Let's see, I think I've got, out of the 6 Pokemon I've picked so far, 4 of them have Taunt. That's good. It's great. Taunt is probably one of my favorite moves in Pokemon, so probably why I picked a lot of Pokemon that have Taunt. But yeah, base 115 attack is nothing to mess around with. Choice Band set on this could honestly be pretty solid with that already base 112 speed. It's already fast, and being able to hit things with Banded 115 and then like a Stone Edge or something, gonna be really nice. Plus Banded Accelerock probably hits things pretty hard, so I'm pretty excited about this thing. I think it's gonna be better than people expect. And I think especially in the draft format, I haven't used this thing in draft format before. I haven't used any of these Pokemon in draft format, so I think this thing's gonna shine a little bit better than it does on the ladder, because I'm gonna be able to use a coverage move much more effectively. It gets Crunch, it gets Fire Fang. I think it probably gets like Ice Fang or Thunder Fang. So depending on what team I'm going up against, I can decide which of those is gonna be the most useful, and I think just make Lycanroc that much better. So yeah, that's one of the biggest difference between ladder and draft play that I think a lot of people don't realize, is that a lot of the strongest Pokemon in league and not in ladder play like don't get banned, because like things like Hoopa don't get banned because it's so tough to run a set that covers the entire ladder. Like you're always going to be missing one move, but in a draft format it's a lot easier to pick that coverage move that gives you exactly what you need. So yeah, I guess that's one quick little rant that I just had to go on for league format stuff. But why don't we move on to my 7th pick? I believe we're on 7 now, which was Sharpedo. I kinda was just really excited to pick this thing. It's not Mega, it's just Sharpedo. I kind of just wanted to pick this thing from the beginning. I like it a lot, and I just got the idea in my head of picking it and got excited about it, so I just rolled with it. Sharpedo, really cool Pokemon, water dark typing, and I don't know, I really needed a dark typing, I needed another fast Pokemon, so I went with it. 120 base attack, 95 base speed, 95 base special attack. Really solid offensive Pokemon. Obviously, speed boost, the primary ability that it gets, Runner with Protect, and I could potentially give myself enough speed to sweep the opponent's team. Rough Skin is another option. If I ever need like one little bit of damage on something, I can run like Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, and catch people off guard, and they'll take like a solid 30% from those things. So probably not gonna run that, maybe ever, but speed boost is gonna be really nice. People kind of sleep on the special set for Sharpedo, running Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam. It actually has been running the lower tiers a lot more than the physical set, so don't sleep on it, just watch out for it. Except for my opponents, just pretend like you didn't hear any of that. Expect the physical set every time. The physical set definitely did get better though this generation with the introduction of Psychic Fangs. So I used to have to rely on like Zen Headbutt or something for coverage, and Psychic Fangs is just a little bit better with that accuracy, so that is pretty nice. Other than that, it does get Destiny Bond, which is nice to have. Once you have like several speed boosts, you're obviously going to be outspeeding everything, so getting up the Destiny Bond before you go down can help me take away a big threat. It does get Priority Aqua Jet, which is nice, and of course yet another Taunter on my team, and Super Fang. If I ever need to take away half the HP of something, Super Fang is there if I need that. But yeah, Life Orb set on this with speed boost, and then I can run it physically or especially offensive. Obviously higher base attack than special attack, but Hydro Pump hits harder if I'm invested than Waterfall, I think. Don't quote me on that, but just because Hydro Pump's really strong, I could be right. But yeah, Waterfall, Crunch, and then Psychic Fangs, or Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, and like Ice Beam or something like that. So this thing could be especially offensive or physically offensive depending on what I need, which is really nice. I'm pretty excited to use this thing. And then let's move on to the 8th pick. I believe there's only 11 picks, so we're getting close to the end, so don't feel like it's gonna go on forever. Hawlucha. I was kind of excited that this thing was still around this late in the draft because it is a really strong Pokemon. Really nice fighting type to get on my team, as well as another flying type. What song is this? Shout out to me more. Another one of my favorite Pokemon, honestly. I think I used this my first season of Delta Battle League, or maybe the second season, one of the earlier seasons. So I was pretty excited to get it, and why don't we move on to the stats page. 92 base attack, obviously not the strongest, but it does get access to Swords Dance, so that is there. Obviously 118 speed is the thing you write home about, plus Unburden. Obviously great stuff. So substitute a Guava Figgy Berry gives me that 50% recovery. Gonna be really nice to get that Unburden, get double speed, maybe have Swords Dance, and this thing can just crush teams. Because honestly, flying and fighting type coverage on the same Pokemon is gonna be really tough. I remember, I think the time I drafted Hawlucha, someone drafted Mega Venusaur and Heatran, and they're like, how are you gonna beat that core? And I was like, I pick Hawlucha. So, gonna be a really fun Pokemon. Obviously it gets Taunt again, because every Pokemon on my team is gonna have Taunt. But it also gets Encore, which is almost like a similar to Taunt in idea, but different in practice. It does get Home Claws as well if I decide that I need that accuracy for High Jump Kick. It does get Iron Head if I need that coverage, Tailwind if I want to support the team a little more, and U-Turn if I want to use it as more of a coverage, or not a coverage, more of a initiative Pokemon. Drain Punch, of course, if I don't want to miss and I want to get that HP back. But I mean, people run Electric Seed nowadays, but obviously I don't have Electric Terrain, so probably not going to do that. I could run Banded. I don't know how well Banded works on this thing, but if I run like Banded, High Jump Kick, Drain Punch, and then like U-Turn, and then like Aerial Ace, I don't know, because Acrobatics is not as good if I have an item. But maybe a Choice Band will help me out with that base 92 attack, and then I can still abuse the 118 speed. And then does also get Limber and Mold Breaker. I don't know what you can hit with Mold Breaker on this thing, but obviously Limber preventing the paralysis would be really nice. But probably gonna run Unburden most of the time, so don't worry about that. are we on to the 9th pick now? Which is Zygarde. And I know, what the hell? How did you get Zygarde this late in the game? And I was thinking the exact same thing. I was honestly thinking about drafting Zygarde from the beginning, but I was kind of on the fence about it. And then it got to this pick and it was still around and I still had the points left to draft it, so I was like, hell yeah, why not? I know this is another ice weakness for me, but I do have some resistances like Tapu Fini has, and Volcarona, Torpedo, obviously. But Zygarde is just too good a Pokemon to pass up right now. I mean, just look at those stats. Lowest stat is 81 in special attack. 121 defense, 100 attack, 108 HP, 95 defense, special defense, and speed. So, pretty awesome Pokemon. Ability Aura Break, obviously not going to be that useful at all. Power to Construct, of course, is banned, and the only Pokemon that Aura Break deals with is Yveltal and Xerneas. So, I'm not going to be seeing any of those anytime soon. Setup moves that it gets: Dragon Dance and Coil. Great moves. Extreme Speed for that priority. Really nice. Core Enforcer. I don't know if you guys saw that Pokegame video lately, but I swear I saw that move and made this slide before that came out. I swear I'm not just piggybacking off of Pokegame MD. I actually saw that and I was like, why don't people use this? It's a 100 base power dragon type move that what's it, the word, like, stifles a Pokemon's ability. So it, like, if I use it on like Tangrowth, just to use the example that Pokegame was using in his live, if I use Core Enforcer on Tangrowth, then it doesn't get a regenerator upon switch out. So that's pretty cool. Other things that this gets: Dragon Tail, Glare, and Haze. So yet another Haze Pokemon on my team. But Glare is going to be cool, but eventually get those paralysis even on the ground types. Dragon Tail, of course, phasing things out. It's like Haze, but I get to damage them. And of course, we gotta talk about Thousand Arrows, the move that hits even Pokemon that aren't on the ground for neutral on the first try, and then hits them for just regular ground type move. But yeah, Thousand Arrows, as like, what switches into that, like, other than ground resists? Like, nothing. So, like, Banded, 1,000 Arrows, Outrage, Extreme Speed, and then, like, something, I don't know. But, like, this thing's gonna be a major threat, and I'm pretty excited to have it on the team. Alright, I think we only got 2 picks left, and by this point I picked all my higher tier picks, so we were down to basically my NUPU picks. So not gonna be as exciting as the rest of them, but I think they're still gonna be exciting. So my 10th pick was Zebstrika. Of course, I did not have an electric type Pokemon yet, so I needed one, and Zebstrika fit the bill. Really fast, base 116 speed, unfortunately 100 base attack and 80 special attack, so the Volt Switches and Thunderbolts are not going to be as strong as they could be. But basically, in my mind, this thing is basically Mega Manectric Jr. Obviously not as powerful or as fast, but it does get electric and fire type coverage, which is really tough to switch in, which is basically what makes Mega Manectric so good. Basically, like Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Overheat, HP Ice is going to be a really strong set on this thing. Going to be able to hit pretty hard. And I guess the benefit of not being Mega Manectric is that I also get to run an item with that set, so I can run like Life Orb, Choice Specs, Choice Scarf. So yeah, it's going to be cool. Obviously, it gets Thunder Wave, which can be really nice, especially on such a fast Pokemon. I could get off a fast Thunder Wave on a potential threat and cripple it. I was looking at physical moves as well. It does get Wild Charge and stuff like that, and it does get Pursuit. So if I ever really needed a Pursuit Trapper, Zebstrika could be the one. Let's talk about abilities as well. It does get Lightning Rod, Moto Drive, and Sap Sipper. So I have a potential immunity in any one of these things. If I need a Grass immunity, obviously Sap Sipper. If I ever wanted to protect the Tapu Fini Gligar core from the grass type moves, then Sap Sipper Zebstrika is there to help me out. And then of course electric immunities with Lightning Rod and Motor Drive. Also, of course, all these moves boost stats as well. Sap Super boosting attack, Lightning Rod boosting special attack, and Mortar Drive boosting speed. So, depending on what I need, I could make a lot of use out of those abilities. I think, honestly, Lightning Rod is going to be the most useful one because I'm probably going to need that boosted special attack every once in a while. But yeah, just having another another electric type immunity. I almost said like having a ground immunity because in my head I was thinking ground types are immune to electric, so ground type. But no, having another electric type immunity, a switch into those electric types is going to be nice. And then, of course, being able to volt switch as well, get that nice fast initiative, and potentially being fast enough to like sweep with Thunderbolt late game or something. I think Zebstrike is going to put in a lot more work than people expect. It is a lower tier Pokemon, but it's still strong, so don't sleep on it, is what I'm saying. And then for my final pick, I'm actually pretty excited I got this thing, Xatu. Did not have a Psychic type yet, and I was pretty excited to have it. And Xatu, honestly, like, I remember back in when I first started playing competitive back in Gen 5, I think this thing was like UU. Because this and Espeon were the only things with Magic Bounce at the time, and Magic Bounce was just a nice ability. But now there's so many more things with Magic Bounce, like Mega Absol and what else? Just Mega Sableye. So obviously Mega Sableye knocks Espeon out of OU with Magic Bounce, and Espeon and Absol knock Xatu out of UU and all the way down to like NUPU. So Xatu, not the best stats overall, but does get that awesome Magic Bounce ability, able to bounce back hazards and Toxics and Thunder Waves and all that good stuff. Does get a lot of weird coverage moves, honestly. It gets Heat Wave, gets Giga Drain, so Calm Mindset, offensive could be solid. Calm Mind Roost, obviously I'm probably going to run Psychic and Air Slash, but if I wanted to run like Calm Mind Leftovers with like Heat Wave or something, just to hit those Steel types, could be good. Another Defogger, just in case the Magic Bounce doesn't work, if they somehow get past it. Sucker Punch could randomly take out something out like that's like living on 1%. I could randomly hit him with Sucker Punch. Tailwind, of course, to support the team. Thunder Wave, most Psychic types get Thunder Wave, and that is also obviously nice to be able to cripple something like that. U-turn initiative, and it does get Wish, which I did not even know until I was looking at it. So I could potentially pass a Wish onto something. Probably not, because only base 65 HP. Not going to be that strong a Wish, but if I do need it, is there. If I want to run like a Super Stall-y, Calm Mind, Wish, something like that. I don't know. It's there if I want it. Synchronize and Early Bird, I mean, cannot hold a candle to Magic Bounce, so I'm probably going to run Magic Bounce every single time. So yeah, that's the draft, guys. That's all the slides I have for you. Hope you're excited for this season of the APL. Let's look forward to the Boston Buizels going all the way. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out Mew more. His music has been in the background this whole time. Other than that, keep dreaming. I'll see you next time, and peace out.